Welcome everyone to Taxonomy Tuesday for February 25th, 2025. We're the New Jersey Mycological Association, and we gather each Tuesday evening to talk about either a special topic or mushrooms that we've recently found, or both. And tonight we're going to have a short presentation by Hunter on the genus Suillus, and then we will talk about mushrooms that we have found. They don't have to be Suillus, so if you've got something that you found, we will look at that. And we take turns sharing what we found and talking about them and helping each other to ID them. So thank you, everyone. And at this point, I will turn it over to Hunter.
Yay. We can see your screen, Hunter.
Fantastic. Yay. Glad to hear it. All right. So just a quick overview of the genus Suillus. So Suillus is one of the many genuses of boletes that there are, and as we all know, boletes are stem and cap mushrooms with pores rather than gills. So Suillus also are pored stem and cap mushrooms. And we'll look at some of the general characteristics of Suillus. So there, yeah, and there may be a couple exceptions. So these are characteristics for the majority of Suillus, but you might be able to come up with an exception. So they are terrestrial, so they grow from the ground, and they're mycorrhizal, so they associate mostly with conifer trees, almost exclusively with conifers. And then for the most part, they have angular pores, like you see here, as opposed to like perfect circular pores. And that size can vary depending on the species, from very small to very large. At times, they'll have a partial veil that can be seen. And they're kind of known for having a sticky, viscous, sometimes really glutinous, wet, slimy, sticky cap surface. The tubes and cuticles are easily detachable. So this is some Suillus weaveri that I removed the cap cuticle off of. And then in the lower right, you can see the tubes where I also removed off these Suillus weaveri. So these structures are easily detachable in most Suillus. They're also known for having glandular dots on the stipe. This is, again, Suillus weaveri, and you can see closer to the caps, the reddish brown markings, these glandular dots. They have a spore print that's, whoops, sorry about that. They have a spore print that, depending on the species, can vary from yellowish to a dark brown, depending on the species. And then there's spores, and so this is from Quebec, and these spores have all been looked at with Meltzer's, are pretty similar. They have a similar look from, for most of the species. I would say like elongated elliptical, or a little bit elongated ovate, maybe. And so nothing too exciting, but there's, again, probably some exceptions with more interesting spores. And then some of them will have annulus, like this Suillus clintianus. And some things, if you're wanting to ID Suillus, getting a hold of ammonia, KOH, iron sulfate, and melters. Those are the kind of top 4 chemicals that you would use in, to help identify Suillus and boletes in general. So in the top right, you can just see some ammonia was applied to, again, Suillus weaveri. And so you can, you know, that all these chemicals can be applied to show possible, to look for possible reactions, flashing of color or no reaction. And then cutting, this is a bolete, this is not a Suillus on the bottom right, but I didn't have a picture of a Suillus cut in half, but that's a good thing to do too. There are some Suillus with hollow stipes, so you can check that out. This is Suillus ampliporus, and the stipe is apparently hollow. And there's at least one more. And so there's about 30 species of Suillus in northeastern America. And there's kind of two camps. There's those that we would fall into the slippery jack camp, and they have that really viscous, slimy, sticky cap. And they grow often under white pine, especially where I live, but they can be found under jack pine and others. But I'm not going to say larch now. Those are kind of in this other camp. But where I live, we're talking primarily white pine. So this is like the poster child for the slippery jacks, Suillus luteus. And you can see the partial veils still on these, and how the stipe is darker below that partial veil. Oops. Sorry about that. This is that Suillus weaveri that I talked about, and we've talked about it before, that it's named after a female weaver who I think was married to a male mycologist weaver, but this is named after the wife. It's Weaver's bolete, or Suillus weaveri, and you can see the glandular dots on the stipe on the specimen on the far right, and how small the angular pores are compared to some other species. Here you see it again, small pores, dots on the stipe, sticky cap, white pine. And again, and you know, this is the one that's the one I've enjoyed finding. I've probably found this one more than any, Suillus americanus, the chicken fat mushroom. And you can see how this is, you know, one of the most viscous, sticky capped ones there are. It's just when after rain, it's kind of really dripping with sticky wetness. And you can see on this another characteristic that many Suillus have, and that's partial veil remnants hanging off the margin of the cap. So that's appendiculate. You can also see in this species, those glandular dots are on the cap as well. one characteristic, at least of this one, boletes will kind of like, or a lot of them, not all of them, but these are kind of more flexible and bendable. It's my understanding, the cap, as opposed to like a nice fresh bolete, like maybe something in Boletus edulis, it's going to kind of snap the cap. But these are kind of spongy and more flexible. This is Suillus placidus. Placidus means calm and gentle, and it's a white Suillus, and it has a lot of these glandular dots on the stipe. So then there's a group that, or many that like this type of environment, tamarack or large trees in bog type environment, such as the Suillus clintonianus. And then they tend to have drier caps, so these are less viscid than the slippery jacks. This is a Suillus ampliporus, and you can see how large the angular pores are, and they're radiating out and even coming down the stipe a little bit in this species. Here we have the painted Suillus, Suillus spraguei. It used to be called Suillus pictus, but spraguei, I think, is the preferred name now. And it has, it's beautiful, beautiful mushroom, and has sort of a felt-like looking cap, as opposed to that sticky, glutinous cap of those slippery jacks. And that is it. So those are the only ones in my repertoire. So I'm hoping I'm looking forward to seeing Dave's, and thank you for letting me share tonight.
Thank you, Hunter. That was great.
Thank you.
Very good summary and short and to the point. So I think that was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Hunter.
So we will first look at Doug's. It's not a Suillus, but he's got to leave, and he only has one thing, I think. So let me get back to mail and find that. Get that open here. Okay, got it. Share it. All right. So Doug, you want to talk about this?
Yes, this is just in a local park, which has a fairly big stream running through a deep ravine with mature chestnut oaks. This is most likely a chestnut oak tree. And this was seen November 28th. There hasn't been much out, so I was wanting to contribute something, and I thought these were really neat looking. You can see how tiny they are. It's a little, I think it's probably Mycena cordicola. It has this pinkish color with a tinge of brown. There's quite a bit of moss on the tree. It was still living. And there were a lot of these, the tree trunk probably had at least 50 of them. You can see some moss. This is a picture of it from the underside. They're very, very small, like, the size of your little fingernail. So this is kind of a beautiful pink color and dainty. So I just presented it. Seems to like to come associated with bark, what I could read. Maybe someone could comment on that. And it was usually kind of in the grooves between this platy bark of this old chestnut oak. Seemed to break out of the grooves more than right in the plates itself, more like the between areas, but sometimes it would be right on the plates. So it's kind of a cute, it's just for interest. If anyone has seen it, I think it's a fairly common fungus in the fall. And that's it. That's all I have to show.
Love it. It's so cute.
Mike, you have any comment?
I was going to say, I think this is a really nice find. Congratulations on finding this. At this point, I think it's identifying this to species depends on some DNA work, because in Northeast North America, I don't think this has been identified to species yet. But it is
So
a Mycena, definitely.
Yeah.
Mike, you can say what you think it is because there's a pretty good chance you're going to be right.
Well, I don't think I don't think that there's clarity about what species appears in Northeast North America. And Pseudocorticola is likely. I don't think Corticola is.
I would lean what is it, Meliagina?
Yeah, I think that's a likely possibility. But they're hard to identify by sight, because the big difference between Pseudocorticola and Meliangia is color, if you go by Mushroom Expert and others. But in practice, they overlap. And
So
like I say, I don't think good work has been done on this yet.
I'll say that one of the recent NAMA presentations, I asked about these because
Great.
yeah, they were talking about them, and I had a bunch of questions, but I got one in about these, like what are we doing here with Corticola, Pseudocorticola, Meliagina, how to tell them apart, and
Yeah.
the answer was Colocystidia. So you're looking at the cystidia at the apex of the stipe. Apparently, there is some distinction there. I just haven't been able to figure that out, but that's what he told me.
And who was it?
I forget the guy's name. Was it
Okay,
Brian?
okay.
Brian something?
Uh-huh.
Was it Looney? No, I
Brian-
don't think it was actually. Was it Brian Looney? I'm not sure.
I don't think
Maybe
it
not.
was. No, I don't think it was. It was someone out in California.
No, it
So-
wasn't. Okay, you're right. It wasn't.
But they were also using a different name, a couple other names for these things, but they might be Western species. And Mike, you're completely right. Who knows what's going on with these things? I mean,
Yeah, but whenever you can narrow it down to 3 species names, especially for little things like this, yeah, that's pretty good actually. So, Corticola, Pseudocorticola, Meliagina.
But these
It's
are all
probably-
European names, David.
Excuse me.
These are all European names.
Oh, they are. I didn't realize that because they've been
Yeah.
using these names here for a long time.
that
Yeah.
NAMA presentation,
Oh.
he was using a lot of DNA data.
Uh-huh.
They were
Oh.
doing the DNA work, and at least out in California, which if Mycena corticola and Mycena pseudocorticola, occur out there, good. Well, they have so much species differences than we do on the East Coast, but
Right.
it's at least plausible that it's not just
Right.
it's at least not just a European name. Let's say
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Cool.
It's
Well,
Brian
these
Ferry.
would be worthwhile to collect and preserve if possible.
Oh, and also last week I've been paying close attention to small things on bark. I saw this. I mean, in the Target parking lot. You know, um, in my apartment complex. You know, on trees there. I would see it everywhere after we had those rains, maybe last week or something like that. So it's super common, but very, very poorly understood. So yeah.
All right, Doug.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That's a good find, good spot.
Thanks for everyone's comments.
Hopefully, science will get it sorted out in the coming years. I think 18 months ago, we would have probably just called it Mycena corticola, but we've gotten a little smarter about there's multiple things out there. So good job. All right.
Shout out to Mike on that. I think he was the one that introduced him here.
Definitely. Mike had a whole street full of them, I think he's shown over time. All right, so if anybody has anything they'd like to share, please say so in the chat. And in the meantime, what do we have here? Somebody's showing something? Jason's showing.
It
Yeah,
looks like you're showing it, Lila. That's I think that's mine. I
Yeah,
think
Yeah,
this
I'm
might be
home now.
Suillus punctipes, but I don't know that species that well, so I'm wondering if I might get a little help here. This was found. I think this is the one I found in Cape Cod. Yeah, and I recently proposed Suillus punctipes because I was looking at a few other Suillus posted by a guy up in Nova Scotia, and a couple of things he put up looked like Suillus punctipes, and at least in photos and so forth. So I think there's no partial veil on this. It's got the glandular dots on the stipe. The pores are kind of dark. That seems to be maybe a trait that points towards Suillus punctipes, but I don't know the species all that well, and that's one reason why, I thought I would show it. I didn't get any microscopy or anything. This was, I found this at NEMF, and it just got put on the table, and hopefully it gets sequenced. John Plischke was there. He took all kinds of samples. I probably pointed him toward this one because I didn't know what it was. So hopefully we eventually get some information on this. But does anybody have any input maybe on ID by site?
Where did you find
I think punctipes is a white pine associate. Interestingly, we don't get it here in New Jersey. It seems to be more of a boreal species, and I think the pore surface, the color of it at least, is different. I think it's from the tomentosus clade, so it has a kind of a unique look about it. What you could have here maybe is Suillus fertilis, but I could be wrong.
Well, in Cape Cod, where I found this, there were. Let me see. What was the location that I put here?
Beebe Woods.
Beebe Woods. There were white pines there. It was like that area, if I remember correctly, was not all that different from a lot of the woods I see around here. Mixed woods, maple, beech, birch, hemlock, pine, and there was white pine. There were other pines there also. But it's funny because we have a lot of white pine here where I live, and I don't think I've seen Suillus punctipes very often, if I have at all.
Yeah, punctipes is Canadian species, New England. I don't think we got it here at our latitude. It's probably almost non-existent or rare. I've never seen it. I also haven't seen things like Placidus, which is also white pine associate. It makes me wonder, why we don't have these species coming down south.
Did you
Well,
taste it?
I get Placidus here in a few spots. I've seen it.
Yeah, I think you took me to a state park, and I think we found it there too. But
Yeah, Nescapec probably. That's one of the places I
it was
know.
Nescapec, yep.
Yeah.
So-
So okay. So this one remains somewhat of a mystery.
And if
Yeah.
it were punctipus, it would stain dull purple with KOH, the cap, and purplish to brown with NH4OH with ammonia.
Yeah, I didn't do any of that, but
And
there's a
they-
lot of overlap.
They call it the
Portellus also has the same staining
Yeah.
reactions.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of overlap with these kind
Yeah.
of reactions.
They call it the fragrant bully and spicy Suillus. I don't know if it tastes spicy, fresh. I'm just giving people, ideas about that species. Just adding.
Yeah, that's good, Hunter. Dave, did you happen to taste this?
If I didn't put it in the notes, then if I did, I don't remember what it tasted
Okay.
like. Yeah, I don't think I did.
All right.
The cap doesn't look like it's Wiveray, but who knows? I mean, it's not in great shape.
I don't think this is Weaveray. The pores are too dark.
Yeah, but this thing has seen better days. So cap
It's
is
not in
slightly
that
mottled.
bad a shape, really. A little bit dried out, but not real bad condition. I mean, maybe it's Weaveray, but it didn't strike me as such.
There's a
It
photo of
doesn't
Punctipes
seem
on the
like
bolete
it to
filter.
me at all. That's the one I really know, the Weaver.
All right. Go to the next one.
Yeah, we can move on to another one, I guess.
This
We're
one,
sort of at an impasse with this one.
this one is supposed to have a curved stipe, like yours
Oh.
is showing punctipus.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know this species very well. I just proposed it just based on a little bit of recent checking around I did.
Glad you shared it.
So these are interesting here. These very pale. This is not placidus. There's very few, very little ornamentation on the stipe. Look at the blue staining here. That's kind of interesting. So this was another Cape Cod thing found during nymph. I don't know what this one is. So I think I only have, my only proposal is Genus Suillus, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, this one seems pretty interesting. I mean, maybe it's a very, very pale Weaveray, because I have found Weaveray that stained blue on the cap. It seems rare. It seems to be rare, but rare meaning very, very small percentage, because Weaveray is like exceedingly common where I live.
Did you try the pore surface to see if it's stained?
No, if you don't see it in the photos, then no, I probably should have scratched it to see what would happen. What was the location here? Lawrence Pond. Oh, okay, I remember that area.
Was it growing under white pine or different conifers?
The Lawrence Pond is where we stayed in Cape Cod before we went to Nymph, and there were a lot of pines there, but there were white pine and there were other pines. And this very well might just be a very pale Weaveray.
How
There
about
was a lot of Weaveray there.
Suillus tomentosus? The set book has a couple pictures of it, and one of them has a cap that's got like a blue tinge to it, and then it does say that there is blue. It's the blue staining slippery jack.
Yeah, there's a
Tomentosus
couple
looks
of
more like
there's a few-
punctipes, and it's a Western species, I think, mostly. So I don't think we have tomentosus here in the Northeast. Maybe in Canada, but not Not in the,
Eastern Canada, south to North Carolina, west to Minnesota.
Doesn't that one have ornamentation on the
I-
cap though?
I think that's a mistake.
Okay.
the distribution for that species, I think, is wrong.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I just looked-
Wilbur or Placidus, because you know I see 5-needle pines, I think, here, where the
Yeah,
clusters
but
of
it's got,
5
there's no
needles.
ornamentation on the stipe, at least not noticeable. You know, I mean, Placidus always has a lot of glandular dots on the stipe. And that, I don't think it's, supposedly doesn't stain.
Yeah, I don't recognize the species, you know, at least not in its current presentation.
Yeah, well, neither did I. And I picked it, but my best guess would be it's just a like an albino weaveré that's also staining. You know, because weaveré usually does not stain at all, but I have seen a very small percentage of my finds of weaveré have showed blue staining.
and forgive my ignorance because, you know, Suillus, boletes, I think you guys know, really aren't my area of expertise in any way. Is there any chance this isn't a Suillus?
I can't think of anything else it would be. Show
Well,
the
it has
pores
glandular
again.
dots at the top of the stipe, so I think this is Suillus. And overall morphology is consistent with Suillus.
Yeah, it sort of screams Suillus at me. Look at the
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I didn't
Definitely
see
not
that.
punctipes or tomentosus. It's yeah, you can see the upper stipe, but those are
Now
glandular dots.
I don't think I saved any of this because it was before Nymph. No, I did take a few things to Nymph. I don't know what happened to them. You know, I showed up with a few samples and I don't know what happened to them. And I'm not sure if I had this with me. Anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting. I guess it is, you know, because we don't know what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I mean, I didn't know of the blue staining Suillus really, but I take my questioning of could it be something else back. I mean, that the stipe apex is has gutules, right? Not gutules, whatever they're called,
Glandular dots.
glandular dots.
Yeah, it's got some. They're pretty pale, but there are some. But even the way the pore surface kind of transitions into the stipe, and it's sometimes it's hard to say. It's just like a gestalt thing, you know. You look at it and you say, okay, I guess that's
Sure.
a Suillus.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Did you say this one Mike had sequenced or no?
I doubt that there was a sample preserved of this because this was, what's the date on this? The 9th. Oh, that's a few days before. Yeah, I don't think any of this got saved because I didn't dry any stuff out. So we were staying at this place, Lawrence Pond, before Nymph. We have some friends up in Cape Cod. We got to use their vacation house, which was very nice. And there were a lot of mushrooms there. Suillus galore. Mostly that salmon colored Suillus, what is salmonium or whatever. And there was weaveré all over the place. And there was lots and lots and lots of brevipes, which are all really pretty common. So I didn't send links to any of those. This one seemed kind of interesting though. But my guess is that this is just like an albino weaveré.
What else do you got?
All right, cool. Let's see. We got, there's a third one.
Yeah, this one that I just sent. So this is one of these things that used to be Fusco boletinus. And you can see there that I originally proposed that, and now it's in like light font because that genus is now deprecated, and all of those species have been moved into Suillus. Oh, somebody just proposed. So this guy up in Nova Scotia just proposed Suillus decipiens. So I don't know. I don't know that species. So this was found on acidic soil, small spruce trees, seedling larch trees. I think it's probably associating with larch. It looks like one of the so-called larch boletes that, the former Fusco boletinus. Those are all called larch boletes, along with Suillus clintonianus, which looks a whole lot different than any of these. But yeah, it's not a viscid cap, right? Dry cap. It's got a partial veil, but it looks like it doesn't last very long. But you can see there is a ring zone on the stipe here. There were cranberries in the area. The woods bordering this were some mature Norway spruce, and there were some small spruce trees also, and probably a few small pines mixed in as well. But like I said, I think this probably was growing in association with these young larch trees. They were very young. They were small, but it's not unusual really to see mushrooms fruiting in apparent association with very, very small trees. I've seen it in other times. So I don't know. There was just a species name that I was sort of considering. And I'm going to come back in a second. I'm just going to look.
Yeah, Igor, what do you think about decipiens here?
Decipiens
It's a pretty
seems to fit the bill somewhat, except that it's not a larch associate; it's a hard pine associate. And I was thinking more.
Does the slender stipe fit that, or?
Yeah, it has that strange, ring, and the stem is thicker in the bottom, and then it kind of flares out where the ring appears. And so, yeah, I mean, if I was looking at this shot, I probably would have said decipiens. The cap is close, but not quite. I thought, maybe if this is a large associate, I was thinking maybe something like Suillus, what is it, spectabilis. But I'm not really familiar with spectabilis, and I think it has a more of a darker cap and more scaly than what Dave is showing here. But so who knows? Suillus palister also looks similar from the gills, from that perspective. But that one is also used to be a Fusca boletinus, very small, but has a purple cap, dry purple cap. So that's
the two species you just mentioned, Igor. They have like red or purple caps, but the caps can't fade.
Yeah,
these were out in the sun. These were out in an open area.
Clearly, these caps are textured. They have remnants of scales in them, so they're not, slimy like Brevipes or Weaveret or other ones. So this seems to be some kind of a texture to the cap. Radially arranged scales, if you zoom in.
There was a name I had before, and I should have written it down. And I'm going to look.
So it looks more like spectabilis to me than decipiens, from this picture.
Yeah, the only problem is spectabilis has big scales and it's red.
Well, it has some reddish coloration. It just faded. I know. I mean, it's not a perfect fit, but it's a better fit than decipiens, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Decipiens looks more like Spragueway, but paler, more yellow. This isn't it.
Are you familiar with Sinus paulianus? Suillus sinus paulianus?
I don't think it's an American species.
Yeah, it's the type species is in Quebec, but I don't see a range here.
Never heard that name before.
It looks like a possibility, but it's a weak photo in the Bassett book, but I guess Eastern Canada, south to New England, West Minnesota, uncommon.
Yeah, sounds like more like of a boreal species. But it's possible that something is coming down to northeastern PA. After all, Dave has Placidus. I never seen Placidus in New Jersey.
This was at relatively high elevation, also above 2,000 feet ASL. Okay. So I found the other name that I was trying. Ampliporus.
Yeah, well, I don't think this is Ampliporus, to be honest with you. But like I said, I'm not very experienced in these large associates. They're
That
all
would be hollow. I showed that one, but I
the
don't know if you can tell if
the
that's
cap is very kind of very textured, very velvety. Not even velvety. There's some kind of a fabric. I cannot even come up with the name of that. But the cap here looks very different. It's
it
kind
does
of
look more
granular
smooth.
and felty at the same time. It's just the cap of Ampliporus is very special. It's very easy to ID species. I would think that this is just a Phaetus spectabilis. That would be my best guess. But like I said,
Yeah, I can't argue with that. That was one of the names I tossed around years
would be
back when I
nice. Would be
found
nice to
this.
find this again and then get it sequenced, because I think we know all the sequences for all Suillus.
Yeah,
North
should
America.
it would. Hopefully, I'm going to get back to this spot once or twice. It's a 2.5 mile hike, and my legs are not getting any better. But I used to go camping in this place, and I would spend well, not right where these were, but there was a campsite on the lake, and I would spend 2 or 3 days there. And but now if I get out there once or twice each year, that's a lot. But
Yeah.
hopefully I can find this again. I thought it was pretty interesting. But anyway, yeah, those are my 3 Suillus that I could not identify the species.
Yeah,
So
you see, you're saying the habitat is lake shore with cranberries, and it seems like it's more wet. The
no,
body
no, well drained. Well,
well drained.
this is up off the lake, so it's like a slope leading down to the lake. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Part of it is wet. Part of it is wet, but where these were was dry. But yeah, but well drained, but near a wet area as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the actual cranberry bushes are mostly closer to where it's wet.
Yeah, my best guess is the large associate, so that's all I can say.
Yeah, but I'm saying the same thing. It's one of these former Fusco bullietinus things that associates with larch. Not slimy, big pores, coming down the stalk, partial veil. All of that fits that general category.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Wow.
You want to do one more, Dave, before you have to go?
Yeah, go ahead. See what else I sent in. Well, we already saw Spraggii.
Yeah.
Hunter did a very nice job of introducing Spraggii. We can skip past that. The only thing I'm going to say about Spraggii is it's in my opinion, a really good edible and very easy to identify. If you have white pine, it only fruits under white pine. To me, it's the best edible in the entire genus. Okay, so here is something that is this really Suillus bovinus? A fairly uncommon species, and I think that's a European name. This one fits the description. Walt Sturgeon thought that it was Suillus bovinus. He's a pretty good identifier. So I included this one because it's a very interesting species that's not very common. And it's a long time ago. I found this 10 years ago. What does it say about the habitat? Hemlock and white pine. Okay, I know where this was found. Well, actually, it could have been one of 2 spots, but it was Neskapek State Park. I think I remember where this was found. So that's another one. I think the cap is a little sticky. You know, it's not real viscid, but it's sticky. And I don't know. I might have this somewhere preserved. I may have preserved this. I'd have to go through my old collections and see. If I do, I'll put it aside because it's a good one.
The book
Yeah,
says
Bovinus is in the Beset book, but I've never seen the species, and it was introduced with the trees, I think, to North America, so it's not very common.
Well, Susan Hopkins finds it in the Adirondacks.
Yeah,
She says it's pretty common up there, actually. When I was visiting Susan, well, we Karen and I went with her on a foray one day, and we found Suillus bovinus, and she said she finds it quite often up there. Here it would be very rare in my area.
yeah, another boreal species.
Yeah, and what we're calling bovinus here, it might be something different than the true bovinus.
the
You know, the
ones
usual sort of thing. You know, we have to get sequenced.
That photograph looks more like something tomentosus or a punctipes to me than anything else. This little guy.
the Beset's
Tomentosus punctipes. Okay. Well, it doesn't have very. The stalk
Well,
is not.
I'm just saying that, you know, this particular small mushroom, if you just, you know,
Yeah.
showed me only that one, I would have just guessed it's from the tomentosus group. But
Oh, okay.
clearly it's not.
Oh, okay.
Because you have all the other things, and this is a thing where some chemical tests would be useful. So
We have it. You have KOH pneumonia in the notes here.
sea cap burgundy, yeah. Suillus fortellus also stains purple with either ammonia or KOH. I think it's KOH, and it has a yellowish cap. So, yeah, it's a mystery.
All right.
yeah, the chemicals sound right for the bovinus.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen bovinus anywhere. So I'm completely unfamiliar with that species. So
yeah, I saw it in the Adirondacks with Susan, and it does not. What she called bovinus does not look unlike this. So, my best guess at this point. But anyway, so you know, I just thought I'd put a few interesting ones out there that they're interesting to me because I don't know what they are.
yeah, I think bovinus
Cool.
refers to the color of the cap. That's more like a something resembles the hide of a cow. Maybe Jason can correct me.
No,
bovine. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a bovine. Yeah.
Yeah, the caps here are yellow. I wouldn't call them cow-like. Who knows? Maybe this is punctipes.
All right. So next, I wanted to share my species list for New Jersey. So here's my spreadsheet that I have for Suillus and all right, we were talking about how to pronounce Suillus. How do you pronounce Suillus?
Yeah, the Suillus, that's a whole different thing.
Suillus. Yeah, that's a red dwarf.
Yeah.
So I'll hide that. But these are the species that I have as occurring in New Jersey. Clintonianus is the synonym for, or the accepted name for Grevillei. I think Acidus on iNaturalist is called Intermedius.
Hey, Jason, can you zoom in a little bit
Yeah.
on the species names? Cool. Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah, there's this other thing that's might be the same as acidus / intermedius.
Yeah, subalutaceous. Yeah,
Subalutaceous. Yeah, there's that one also.
yeah. We don't have.
Those three names might all refer to the same thing. I'm not sure.
You can cross out granulatus. We don't have it. So
You
What's the
don't
name
get
of this
that
guy?
with hard pines?
not in New Jersey. No, it's
Oh.
it's a thing from Minnesota and Wisconsin.
I think I may have found it here with hard pines.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah, well, I think maybe.
So, I've
Possibly,
got
maybe.
these two species as being potentially rare, or at least less common than the rest of them, and then like Igor said, Placidus and Punctipes as being kind of unclear. So I have it as SU for uncertain.
Yeah, Hertellus is in the Pine Barrens, and I have at least one sequence collection, two actually, at least two. One from Caddis Island and the other one from Brandenburn. It's fairly common in certain years, so I would bump it up to maybe S3, or I don't know what those numbers actually mean.
Right.
Sabarius is a northern thing, hemlock,
Mhm.
hemlock and oak.
Oak, yeah, it associates with oak. It's one of the few Suillus that is not strictly conifer associate.
Yeah, Clintonianus, I only seen it once in New Jersey. There's a park has a couple of dying larches that were planted in a very dry environment. They're large and they're dying, and I just happened to find a couple of years ago. But other than that, I think if you don't have larch in New Jersey, you'll never see any of those ampliporous Clintonianus things.
Well, we have larch is listed as an S3 in New Jersey, so we do have some larch bogs or larch wetlands, but they're these small distinct wetland pockets, and I have seen, pretty sure I've seen Clintonianus from a naturally occurring larch wetland in New Jersey.
Yeah, you just have to
But-
have hit the spot. If you know where the larches are, you'll probably find a bunch
Right.
of these or other species that are strictly larch associates. But
One of the first times I ever attended a fungus fest, Bob Hosh was in the basement making gravy with Suillus now the name is escaping me. Clintonianus, because it used to be Grevellii. Yeah, he had dried ones. And he was, so I don't know. I imagine he picked those in New Jersey. I'm not sure. But he had dried ones and he was cooking with them.
I also think that
Grevellii is a different species. I don't think it's the same.
I think Suillus luteus is also quite rare in New Jersey. We never find it at our forays, and I've seen actually once on my property, and it was growing with a white pine, which was highly unusual. I did save a collection, and I should sequence it, but I'm pretty sure it's luteus, which is very easy to ID.
Well, one place I find luteus here is in pretty much very close to downtown Wilkes-Barre, which is an urban environment, and it's planted pines. It's ornamental pines. I'm not sure what species of pine it is, but otherwise I find them near Scots pine.
Yeah, they're mostly hard pine associates. So I was very surprised to find under white pine, and I'm pretty sure my ideas of identification of trees was correct. I can check again because it's basically like across the next building from me. So I would say that luteus, based on my observations, with NGMA, it would be an S2. We don't find luteus, period. I don't know why. Yeah.
Cool. So the next thing I wanted to do was look at the iNaturalist observations for Suillus. These are all of the Suillus observations from the state. And here you can see them ranked by the number of observations. You can see Americanus is the most commonly observed on iNaturalist. Number 3 is Granulatus, which is surprising because that's the one that apparently doesn't occur here in New Jersey.
It's probably Weaverae.
It's Weaverae. You know, people are still doing that all
Yeah,
the
and
time.
the Gravellii is Clintonianus.
Is Clintonianus, which isn't on iNaturalist, so this is all Clintonianus. But there are some species here that are not on my list, like Variegatus, Cerulescens, and Bovinus. So I thought we would take a look at these and see if we can confirm, or as I suspect, correct the idea of.
Jason, we should start with luteus.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do the rare ones first, but I wanted to,
Okay.
or the second. So I got Hertellus and then some of the luteus ones next. But since these might not even be in New Jersey, I wanted to get them off of the list on iNaturalist.
Cool.
If they don't occur here. And, you know, a lot of them are photos like this where you don't even have a shot of the gill or the pores on the underside. So,
That
so
might
you know,
not
on
even be a
iNaturalist,
Suillus.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
Definitely a mushroom.
Are we confident it's a bolete? Can we put boletaceae?
Well,
Mm.
Volatalis
know.
probably be more inclusive.
Boletalis?
Yeah.
Right.
So we got to see the rest of the package. Yeah, Variegatus is a European species. We don't have it here. I'm pretty sure of that. So even if it were Suillus, it's unlikely to be Variegatus.
Right.
I also like this as a concept for, wintertime Taxonomy Tuesday sessions, because there have been times that I've wanted to share other people's observations. Like, okay, we can all confirm that this isn't even a mushroom, right?
Right.
Yeah, isn't this the same mushroom from a different angle?
It could be. It's the
Looks
same
thing.
observer.
Yeah, it looks
See
like
a little
it.
bit more of the stem.
Yeah, I think it's the one Maua.
Definitely doesn't look like it's a Willis, right?
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
that's what I thought.
Right. This is what I've got for Suillus Cerulescens.
So when Dave was
See the-
showing the thing that he had that stained blue, I came across this name. I'm completely unfamiliar with it, but wouldn't that kind of lead you to believe that this thing would stain blue?
Cerulean is blue. So, yeah. This thing,
Look
though,
it up
that's being
on-
shown doesn't look like Dave's.
No, that's not the same thing that I picked. Whatever that thing was, I don't know what it was, but
Oh yeah,
Common
yeah,
name
yeah.
for the blue staining
so
Suillus.
this thing in New Jersey, this was somebody called it Cerulescens,
Yeah.
Yeah. So do
and
we
that's
think
all
it's a
you have to go
Suillus?
on here.
Is
That's
that
all we
the sum
got.
total of pictures? Is that it?
Yep. Just
Eh.
this one.
Yeah, Boletalis. It looks like it's probably some kind of Suillus.
Yeah, I think it's a Weaverae, probably. Chances are.
Probably a Weaverae, right?
Dave, did you look at that name? Cerulean.
No, I haven't looked at that. I'll look
I
at
looked
it.
it up, and I'm not. I've never even heard of it. It's by Smith. It was published in their monograph of Suillus from 1964, which I do have, but I'm completely unfamiliar with that species. So, gotta check it out.
Right. And then we've got Somebody ID'd a Suillus bovinus, which looks quite different than what we were looking at before. It's got ridged stem.
Where was this found again?
This is in the Pine Barrens. Looks like
Okay.
Franklin Parker Preserve.
Yeah, I think it's probably Boletus olivisporus.
Yeah.
Definitely not Suillus. Now, Rufa boletus olivisporus as a non-prov provisional name. Yeah, definitely not a Suillus.
Yeah. All right, and then we've got some Suillus hirtellus. This one is Brandon's. So what do we think about this guy?
Yeah, that looks like something from the Tementosus group. So yeah, Hirtellus is a good name.
Is this a Pine Barrens species?
Yeah, it is. And they also do stain blue sometimes. I have observations of it staining blue, sequenced observations.
Yeah, I think I picked a few of these when I was in the Pine Barrens a few years ago. And I think there was a little bit of blue staining on one of them, actually, if I remember.
Yep.
This is the same location, but different year. Also ID'd as hirtellus.
Is this one Hirtellus as well, or what it's being called?
It was called hirtellus.
Possibly. I mean, there
Liz
are
Broderick's.
very few species in the Pine Barrens. We have Brevipes, we have Salmonicolor, we have Hirtellus, and Spragueay, where the white pine is, and Wiveray, and that's about it.
Do we have Decipians?
And the Sippins, yeah, yeah, correct, yeah, because I haven't seen that thing in almost like 10 years. Although I did see them Brennan Bird maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Just one mushroom, yeah. The Sipiens is another one, yeah. So that's pretty much sums it up for the Pine Barrens for Suillus. Just like 5 or 6 species.
You said this is one of Liz Broderick's. She's me, bro.
Correct. Mabros was her handle.
When fresh, those are supposed to emit sort of like a milk-like substance, like a lactarius, almost droplets from the pores.
Yeah,
What do you think?
the milk is kind of a color of the latte, kind of a yellowish brown.
Looks
This
like
one appears to be mature.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it looks like Liz also cut it on the left there after she, so maybe she was looking for that.
Yeah, Hirtellus makes sense because there's just nothing else out there that kind of resembles this.
Yeah, I mean, it was at Caddis Island, which is where Brandon's observation was. So
Yeah, and I have one of this species, Hirtellus, also from Caddis Island, sequenced.
cool.
Very young collection, very dark. I think when they mature, they turn more yellow. That stuff that's on the
Right.
cap kind of peels off, fluffs away.
This is also one of Liz's. This one from Franklin Parker.
Yep, I think that's correct. You can see the milk.
Very cool.
Nice.
And then we've got some luteus. 7 of these.
That's luteus, 100% bona fide. Where was this found?
Newfield, JB Ellis's old stomping ground.
Where's Newfield?
Is that
Gloucester
north?
County.
Oh wow.
Which county?
No.
Gloucester.
Oh, Gloucester. Wow.
But it's got really, it's got 20, 30-kilometer accuracy. So somewhere in South Jersey.
Yeah, that's a poster child Suillus luteus for you.
I mean, this almost looks like it's just a Google search.
Cannot mistake it for anything else.
And I don't think I've ever confidently identified luteus, if I've ever even found it. Was that kind of purplish under partial veil kind of indicative?
Yeah, and that partial veil stretches all the way from the bottom of the stipe. So it just
Okay.
actually covers the stipe as well. Kind of looks like a boot just flaring out at the top.
Yeah. So it's like a membranous, like you said, boot kind of
Yeah.
the whole way. Cool.
Mm-hmm. So I don't even think you see the glandular dots. Not in this one.
They would be underneath the. Well, what would that be? Would that be a universal veil then?
I think it's a partial veil.
Yeah, this is the Wikipedia photo.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So it's
So
not something
they
that was found.
searched Boletus luteus and then took a screenshot and added it to iNaturalist.
Oh,
that's
what?
okay. So this is not a good idea. This is
And
not
a
what they found.
contrived.
Or
Yeah.
it's not a good ID, or it's not a good location for the ID.
Well, I mean, the location could be legit. It's just not the mushroom that they found.
Right. I was
Because
like, I think I've seen that picture before.
Yeah, because it's a picture from Wikipedia. You cannot do that. This is verboten.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, next up.
I think it's probably salmon color.
Not a great photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just degrade it to Suillus.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's disagreement, then it'll bring it to Genus
No, I
Suillus
do have
maybe.
some Suillus luteus observations where the cap is fairly faded and it becomes pretty pale, yellowish, beigey. I'm not saying that's what this is.
Yeah. Well, this is the Pine Barrens, and I've never ever seen
Right.
luteus in the Pine Barrens.
Right. Yeah. That's why I'm not going to suggest that might be it. But I just wanted to comment on the overall appearance.
Yeah, looking at the messy ring, very glutinous, sticky. That's salmon color for you, which is very common.
All right, next up, we just have one photo.
More of the same. Salmon color.
color. All right, here's Maricel.
Another salmon color.
Uh-huh.
Would it be possible to click on the full national range on this species?
Yeah.
Luteus.
Oh, okay. Yep. So I should be finding that, or could be. Barely. Okay.
Same
Thanks.
memo.
I'm going to have to go now to the other thing.
Thanks,
So I just
Dave.
I just wanted to say one more thing. Okay, I'll stay for a few more minutes. But to me, to really know if you have salmon color, you should section it and see the internal flesh. When it has that like orange salmon flesh color, then I'm pretty confident about salmon color. Oh, well, look inside the cap there. You can sort of see. Looks like it has that color.
Yeah, I'm looking up
Around the
Suillus
margin.
luteus in on the Mo, and in New Jersey there are only 2 observations by me from my place, and that's it. So that's why I think Suillus luteus is very rare in New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay. Next up. This one's also Pine Barrens.
Yep, another salmon color.
Yeah. And another thing, luteus seems to be much larger than some monocolor. Is that correct, Igor?
Like I said, my experience is limited, but I mean, they can get large calves, but I think salmon color typically has a much thinner stipe.
We found some pretty large salmon color in the Cape Cod last fall.
Yeah, the caps can get blown out to maybe 6-7 centimeters, maybe even larger than that, slightly, but under 10.
All right, this one's up in North Jersey, Hunterdon County.
Stockton. This is not a Suillus.
Yeah, it's not a Suillus.
No, it looks more like a Boletus to me than
Beat,
Suillus.
something beat up, but not Suillus.
Yeah. Are you Bolitacea or Boletus?
Can we zoom in into the
White flesh.
into the stipe?
Snipe apex, upper right.
Just want to see if there's
No,
actually
here.
any reticulations at all.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
reticulation.
I see it. Lower right.
Yeah. No bluing, greenish pores at the at this post-mature condition.
Pretty
Very
long
thick,
tubes.
long tubes. Yeah. Yeah, I think it could be some kind of a. Let's look at the cap again. So if this is Boletus, if this is Porcini, what kind of Porcini can this be? And this was found, you said, near Stockton?
Yeah, up in
North
Hunterdon
Jersey.
County, next to the Delaware River.
Which county is that? Is that?
Hunterdon?
Hunterdon. Can we zoom in?
On the map?
On the map. Does that actually tells you where it was found, or this is just like a generic, location for Stockton or whatnot?
No, this is where it was found. Looks like somebody's backyard on Broad Street.
Yeah, can we see what kind of trees are out there? Is there like a street view?
Yeah, we could try to get some street view.
Because if it's a Porcini, it's got to be under conifers. Because this is not an oak Porcini. This is something else.
No chance for it to be Separans?
No. The cap color kind of is throwing me off.
Yeah, because it's old and just dark.
Are these conifers?
Yeah, some kind of
Conifers.
Oh,
white pine in the background.
Yeah.
Are these spruces?
Some of them look like spruce by the driveway.
Yeah.
that's probably edulous then.
I would put boletus as in porcini.
Alright.
This is an amazing usage of Street View.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
the same thing.
I,
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I don't know if I've ever been happier in Taxonomy Tuesday, quite honestly.
You've got to get all the resources under your on fingertips. So you've got to exclude some things. Yeah, I'm curious about what this can be.
Can
Very
we go
dark.
back
When was
to,
it found? 2020. Okay.
can we go back to the gills and the pore attachment, pores and pore attachment?
Kind of resembles something that I've seen posted in the Mo from Louisiana and Mississippi more than anything else. So, porcini, that is. Oh, that's Byron there.
The
Oh,
Lord.
oh, right. Oh, I got
Byron.
my unmute. Yes. Byron, say hello.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
looking for
that's tiny.
the telltale, for separans in particular. I was looking for that, separated hymenium from the stipe.
Yeah, I don't see any purple tones in the stipe, but it's an old specimen.
Yeah, sometimes separans has a white stipe, but the habitat favors something closer to edulous. It's all conifers. Mostly
Yeah,
conifers
it favors porcini sensu
Oh, yeah.
stricto as opposed to sensu lato. Yeah,
These
these are.
might be planted hemlocks because this the leaf debris in the back kind of looks like
Hemlocky.
hemlock to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So could this be subserolescence then?
Doesn't look like it to me.
Ah,
That one usually has a coarsely reticulate stipe.
yeah. Well, then downvote luteus because this is clearly not Suillus. Even if we're wrong about this being a porcini.
Oh,
can
it's not
do this.
Suillus.
Yeah.
All right. Last one.
Yeah, salmon color.
All right.
So you see, I'm telling you, luteus is a very rare critter in New Jersey. I don't know why.
You don't have like planted pines any place where it grows? It seems interesting to me because wherever there's like planted 2 or 3 needle pines around here, like just ornamental trees, I will often find luteus.
Yeah, well, I told you, Dave, the two luteus collections that come from my place, they were growing under white pines, which is
Interesting.
unusual, highly unusual.
Yeah, I don't find it under white pine.
So I did save it, but it's clearly luteus. It's very easy to ID. One of the easiest species of Suillus to identify.
And Igor, when you say your place, you mean in Camden County or like a spot that you go to in the Pine Barrens?
No, I'm referring to my HOA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Maple
referring to
Shade.
Maple Shade. So. Yep, that's luteus.
That looks like luteus to me.
Yep. You see the boot? Yeah. So I've only seen it twice. I think there are 2 collections by me from the same place. And I haven't seen it in almost 10 years. Only 2 pine trees in there, 2 or 3, and I think they're all white pine.
Huh.
Yes,
And
we
the
wonder if it came in with those presumably planted white pines, right?
Yeah, they're all planted. All the white pines that we have left here are planted. And there's another observation from the same Same location, yeah, from 2017. Last day of October. Observation number 296627. Yeah, like I said, observation 150, 958 from 4 years ago to the day.
A Halloween species.
Yeah, that's the only time I've seen luteus in New Jersey.
You found
Strange,
you
isn't
found
it?
them both. You found them both 9 years apart on Halloween. Is that what I just?
4
4 years
4
apart.
years
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was the last time.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a easily identifiable species. It looks like to me.
Yeah, you see that partial veil stretches all the way from the bottom of the stipe. It covers the stipe completely. That's why you don't see glandular dots, if there are glandular dots underneath.
And the flesh on these is white, correct?
I don't remember if I ever cut these things.
Yeah, more or less white. A
Yeah.
little bit of darkness in some areas, I think.
But not that,
It's not yellow. Yeah, it's not like orange yellow like
yellow
this.
orange. Right. Cool.
I saved that collection, yeah, from 2017. I should have it in my fridge.
Well, this could just be a coincidence, but both of these have really stubby looking stipes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
luteus usually has a short stipe because it's a very late fruiting mushroom. It usually doesn't show up until after or near the time of the first frost. And a lot of the late season cold weather mushrooms have short stipes because that's the way they've evolved, I guess, to stay close to the ground, where they're not as susceptible to being frozen.
Yeah.
Chris, did you have something you wanted to show tonight? Thought I saw
Yeah,
that in the chat. Yeah.
I got one or two.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
cool.
if you're in
You
New
wanna-
Jersey, look for Suillus luteus. We need more observations of luteus. There's got to be more.
Yeah, trying to find areas with planted ornamental pines.
Ornamental, like something exotic.
Well, I don't know. The one spot I find them in Wilkes-Barre is right on alongside a road called Wilkes-Barre Boulevard. Busy road. They just planted some pines. I'm not sure what kind of pine they are. They might be Scots pine. I'm not sure. But they're not white pine. They're some sort of hard pine. And I also find in that same spot, I find Amanita phalloides, some interesting cortinarias, a couple of species of hebeloma.
Maybe it's European. Oh, by the way, one thing I wanted to say is that Suillus is a pioneer species, and there was a nice presentation by a professor from New England. I think his name was Horton. It was presented through the New York's NYMS, New York Mycological Society, the umbrella, that whole series of
Consortium.
lectures, for the Northeastern clubs.
The Myco Consortium.
Marco Consortium, yeah, and basically said that luteus colonized South America, some parts of South America, because pines get planted in there, and there are no pines in the southern hemisphere, and this is a pioneer species, and it's just basically enables the pines to conquer vast spaces of empty space. Yeah, so the spore bank of Suillus is very viable. It survives for months. That's why you can, the spores get disseminated, and when the seeds fall on the barren soil, the soil already has the mushroom in it. So that's how pine spread in Colombia or Peru or other parts of South America. Very interesting. Actually, if it's still in the LYMS website, I suggest you take a look at it. Very fascinating.
So one spot where I just thought or remembered that I find Suillus luteus, but not very many, only a few over the years that I go to every year, is the Splash Dam Pond Trail. It's high elevation. It's I don't think there's any planted trees there. There are some spruce. There are a few pines scattered here and there. I'm not sure what kind of pines they are, and a lot of gray birch and poplar. But apparently the Suillus luteus there is growing with whatever kind of pines there are there. I would think that would make the most sense. There's not that many though, and they're pretty small.
Yeah, since luteus is a European species, obviously it's been introduced into this country, and that's why I think it's fairly rare, because you've got to have plantations of conifers that came directly, from Europe, the seedlings, that were grown in here.
Well, in the spots, some of the spots where I find it, it's not rare. I mean, there's these two Polish immigrants show up at the edge of this Scots pine stand, and try their best to fill up a 5-gallon bucket, full of these things, and then they pickle them.
Isn't Scots pine a European species of pine?
Scots pine is an import from Europe, yes.
Yeah.
And this same area where the Suillus luteus grows, on the edge of the Scots pine stand, other mushrooms have been found and sequenced that are European species.
Bingo! There you go.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Kiwi bubbles, diatribe fluorescens. What do we got? Did you find this week, Chris?
Yeah, Mike Inskeep nailed it. Don't even bother looking in the branches. Just look on the ground.
And this is on a twig, like
yeah, super small.
That name is perfect for those. It's perfect.
Yeah, they look like little slices.
Like
it's crazy.
Kiwi fruit.
Yep, finally found them. Just looking at the ground. There it was.
Well, that's good to know, because I spent an afternoon one day looking at standing beech trees and branches and trunks and so forth, and didn't see any of these. And
yeah, it's got to be dead wood. Has to be on dead wood.
Well, I've looked at dead trees as well as live trees, but on the ground, small twigs. Anyway, I think I'm going to need to go now. All right. See y'all next week, hopefully.
Thanks for staying around, Dave.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And then
these things are so funny because, that picture right there. Oh, yep, I can 100%. That's diatribe fluorescens. But when they don't have this color, they are difficult to identify.
The same stick had all different ones, but the green ones, they clearly stand out. But the other ones, I don't know. They look so similar.
Yeah,
unless they were really degraded.
I'll share something that I found today that we can talk about, because it wasn't on beach, but
Yeah,
anyway.
If it's not on beach, it isn't this. Apparently, it's something else. So that's the key to identifying these when they're a little bit older, is knowing the wood, the host.
And the the parathecia on these, are they above the surface of the rest of the stromata?
Like they look pretty flush in there.
That one on the upper right of the one on the left, if you can zoom in on that.
Yeah, it looks like it's. But I don't know if that's just a broken piece there on the side.
Yeah. Yep. But when they're this color and they have that look to them, I mean, that's on beach. That's absolutely what you have. But when they're not perfectly green, green yellowish and fresh like that, and erupted. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can confuse them for.
Yeah, I kept the stick. I was gonna mess around with them some more. See what I could find in there. And then
Cool.
last week I showed a picture of something and I found some more. In the frozen ground. Again, couldn't really dig them up. But I didn't flick them off into the woods this time. But that's a dug down about a half inch till I got to frozen ground.
Those are what you suspected, I'm pretty sure last time, the Typhlopolycladium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Looks good.
But still, it's so weird that they're persisting this long. But it seems like these like if it warms up, it looks like they're just gonna like disintegrate quick. Pretty soft.
So did you collect any of these and trying to get spores out of them? Because
No, they were they were pretty beat up. I mean, like probably could get something out of them, but they were pretty like they seemed solid in the picture, but they were kind of gross.
yeah.
But that was it. The stuff out there.
Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Brandon, you want to go next?
Sure. Oh God, I have a ton of things open. I think we looked at most of. Well, let's look at the Decipians. We didn't look at this already, right?
No.
So I think that's what this is. Igor probably ID'd this for me. But these are pretty immature. You can see the small pore layer. You can see the kind of membranous. Somewhere between membranous and like coordinate, right? Like you could peel it away, but you could imagine in age that this would kind of spread out and not be as membranous as it is currently.
They look almost like Pulveribulatus ravenellii, except that species is more bright yellow, but the overall appearance is very similar at this stage of development. But yeah, this is clearly a Suillus, and the Decipians is correct. It's a nice edible species.
Yeah, I didn't eat these ones, but after confidently being able to identify them, I ate a couple and they were fantastic. Well, I ate one and it was fantastic, and then I never found another one again. So
Yeah, they are sometimes, we've seen lots of them in at FPP, but that was like 10 years ago, and then they kind of disappeared. And sometimes you find like one here, one there, but even that is rare. Decipiens means deceptive. So I wonder, whom it deceived and for what species? Sprague's?
Mm. Well, I'm just going to blow through this Sprague's. I didn't know we were doing Suillus tonight. Otherwise, I would have kind of prepared something. But this is one of my favorite finds ever, just because the photographs that I got out of it were really, really good. That first photograph in particular, I think, is maybe one of my favorite photos I've ever taken of a mushroom. When I found this thing, I had no idea what it was, and it was one of the first kind of foreign mushrooms that I identified. I felt good about the identification and eating it. So, gorgeous mushroom.
Really nice photos.
Thank you.
Great edible too.
Yeah. All right. I think we looked at most of the rest of these. Let's look at this Hortilis that I think is from New Jersey. No, it's from Michigan. No. All right. So because I didn't get the memo, I was going to share a couple other things. So I found this today. Just calling it Ascomycota. This is a terrible photograph under a loop. These are very, very small. Each one of these eruptant type deals is less than a millimeter. The biggest one I found was probably a millimeter max. This is on a canopy branch of some kind of oak, and we'll look at the. I made a separate observation about the host, but yeah, you can see how tiny these things are. Briefly, I got a little bit of work done under the stereoscope before we got started. And it's not the best photograph, but you can see this kind of erupting stromata. And these I'm going to call them parathecia, are raised above what is ever coming out of the bark. And they're surrounded by a little layer of subiculum. So each one of these little kind of eyeball looking things, and I didn't get a great shot of them, that stinks, is certainly raised above. So it's certainly not diatribe fluorescens because it's not on beach. It's probably some kind of diatripella type thing, probably a perennial mycete.
Yeah, they look like cousins.
They look like cousins, right? But they're not the same thing. They by definition can't be, because this was the host. It was a fallen tree, like I said, the canopy level, that still had leaves hanging from it. I hope I have a photo of that.
Oh yeah. Speaking of tree ID, my wife downloaded this app called Picture This, and you just snap a photo of the bark, and I gotta tell you, it's pretty good.
Picture This is pretty good for trees.
It's pretty good.
Okay. So in my infantile knowledge about tree identification, I do feel confident that this is an oak. I'm not sure if it's white oak or not.
Looks like white oak leaves, or maybe not. No.
There is like kind of one lead node, more or less, that I found This is the bark. And I mean, this is on a fallen something. So it was just infested with, Sterium, and there's slime mold on this thing also. But not smooth bark. Those leaves obviously aren't beech leaves. I don't know what this is.
Is this
It
in the
looks like an
woods or was
acorn
this
hat.
planted?
This is in the woods, and yeah, that's what I thought. It was a little baby acorn. Definitely not planted. So, agree with oak at the very least. Quercus.
Definitely an oak. I can't tell if those lobes have bristle tips or not. If
They look like
don't,
pointy, right?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, this was probably felled last year, so these were really, really dry. But I wouldn't say that they were pointed. Maybe the lead one is.
yeah, I mean, the overall leaf shape reminds me of southern red oak, Quercus
That's what,
falcata.
see, that's what I thought, but I didn't think that the lead note, because that thing has like a wild, you know, long finger at the top, right? I
It
guess.
can. Oak leaves are very variable.
Okay. Because I definitely found, I know that leaf when I find it, or the southern red oak that has that kind of like off center lead prong thing going on.
Yeah.
I didn't read that off of this, but it could have been an immature thing that fell and then has been there for a year. But anyway, definitely oak. So that's a start.
Well, Quercus falcata does occur in New Jersey, in southern New Jersey.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that the southern red falcata?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I see it. I saw it mixed with these leaves, so that could be it.
Yeah, it's a species that likes the coastal plain, but not the pine barrens. So it's kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
It likes the outer edge and surrounding areas, the pine barrens.
Yeah, I see it in Black Run Preserve and around where I live all the time.
Down Cumberland County over to the coastal areas. It's an island beach and maritime forests.
Cool. All right, then 850. I'll just kind of breeze through this one, and then maybe we can talk about the next one a little bit. This is Stecherinum, Stecherinum, Ocracium. Feel good about the idea on this thing. The color, orange to ochre, right? It's got kind of dainty, frail-looking teeth. They're not very blunt, and this thing was fresh too, which is cool. So when you look at them from the underside, you can definitely make out the teeth.
Cool.
But this thing was completely resupinate, maybe a little bit reflex, but I mean, if you want to call like a millimeter off the substrate reflexed, yeah, go ahead. But it was on the underside of a hardwood log. So that's Stecherinum ocracium. Pretty confident about the ID. I think I know that thing pretty well. And if anyone has a comment, please chime in. But I'd like to compare it to this other thing that I also found today that could definitely also be in Stecherinum, but doubtful that it's ocracium. And I actually think it's a different genus altogether. you can make out these kind of concentric circles in kind of patterns. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's not something I've ever seen with Stechorhinum ocraceum. And this is under the loop, and you can see those concentric circles kind of forming. But also these teeth they're less pointed, they're more kind of blunt, and they're almost not, uniform like the teeth on Stechorhinum ocraceum normally are, where it's just maybe they're a little bit widened at the end, but it's just a row of a hymeneum of teeth. And this is a little bit more marolioid, if that makes any sense.
What about
like-
the giraffe spots? It couldn't be that.
No, those don't have teeth.
Okay. Thank you.
Peniophora, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know it well at all, but I know you do actually, but I thought, oh, maybe it just slipped your mind, but definitely not that. Okay, good. Good to
Yeah,
know.
so Peniophora is like a crust, like a steroid type thing, where the hymeneum is smooth.
Okay.
But there is this thing called Bissomarolius corium. That's a pretty good lead for this thing. And like I said, I found it today. I got it laid out for some spores. If I can get some spores out of it, we'll get some answers. But I don't think it's Stechorhinum. I don't think it's Peniophora. There's a couple other Dentocorticium, couple other pseudo-tooth thing, crust fungi that it could be. But
Yeah,
Are
that
those patches pulling
Biso-
away?
say it again, either one. Chris, what'd you say?
Are those patches? They look like they're pulling away
Yeah, kind of
from
stretching away from
itself.
each other.
Yeah, like maybe those ones on the end kind of peeled away from the mass somehow.
Yeah, just probably cracking from, environmental conditions.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of the Bisomulius corium, and it's doing the same thing that the edges are kind of lifting up a little bit, and it also has those kind of concentric ring type patterns.
Yeah, I think that's what this is. And the spores are super unique on that. I was reading. I haven't looked at them under the scope yet. But the spores on that thing are pretty unique in that they're oh God, what was it? Subcylindric to sigmoid, so kind of S shaped. So, if that differs greatly from Stechorhinum species that are kind of sub-ellipsoid. So if I get some spores, I might get an answer out of it.
Jason, can you put that name in the chat that you were looking at?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then just for anyone that wonders why I was looking at this thing, because they're more arumpet fungi. That's what I was really looking at. And I mean, once you start looking at these things, you can find them on every stick, every twig, every log. If you really want to look at that, I don't collect all of them because that would just drive me mad. But every now and then, one jumps out to collect. All right, that'll do it for me.
All right. Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
Igor, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
I'm gonna do. I've got two more Suillus that we can look at from New Jersey. This one's Intermedius.
Yeah, that's the synonym for a junior synonym for
Acidus.
acidus. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this one?
Is this the same observation?
Yeah, all three of these photos.
Yeah, looks okay.
This is up at Stokes. Looks like this was at a Kittle Field. Let's Gillinger Road. Oh, Lake Aquatunk.
Yeah. And this is
Like a dead ringer, really.
yeah, I'm not, this is the only place I found acidus in northern New Jersey in mixed woods of hemlock and white pine.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out whether Sublutaceous is still a real species or not. Because that's the one that apparently one only grows with white pine, the other one only with hard pine. And I forget which is which. Or maybe acidus grows both with white pine and hard pines. But the ones that I found at Stokes came from a grove of hemlock intermixing with some young saplings of white pine. So it was kind of difficult to tell. There were other Suillus in there as well, which I thought was unusual. But yeah, Intermedius, I think, it has been deprecated, in favor of acidus.
Yeah. All right, and then we've got one record of Placidus. This one from Bass River this past year.
Yeah. No, this is not Placidus. I think it's Oxynum.
Some staining.
It's definitely not Suillus, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the pink staining of the flesh. This is Oxynum vulpinum.
Right.
Was Placidus, what was the other species that Dave was looking at for that white one that stained blue on the cap?
I forget. Yeah, Placidus has well-developed glandular dots, which are black almost. The observations of Placidus here on iNat, you can maybe show them. Whitish cap.
I think Dave was trying to say he thought it was like a albino weaver eye at the end, which I didn't think so. This is cool.
Yeah, he has dense glandular dots. They're not black; they are more kind of a pinkish brown. Yeah,
Reddish,
almost
yeah.
white caps. Yeah, it's another easy species to ID. I think that that genus mostly consists of well identifiable, taxa. You don't have to really break your head and figure out what it is.
And this occurs in New Jersey, or no?
No, never seen it in New Jersey, but I've collected this with Dave in northeastern PA, same latitude as northern New Jersey. But
so it probably occurs in northern New Jersey. It's just under collection.
Maybe, but all the times I've been to Stokes and other northern parks, I've never seen it. So doesn't mean necessarily that it's not there. It's just probably very rare.
Is that Paganka?
Yeah.
What? Paganka.
Yeah, I mean, this is not far into Pennsylvania. It's just
if you replace the first letter with an O, that's a Russian word, which means a bad gilled mushroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Paganka. Yeah. Cannot
So
translate that.
maybe she's the Pennsylvania, PA, Pennsylvania, Gonka, Paganka.
Yeah, but
Although I think she lives in Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Whatever that stands for, Placidus. Yeah. So that's in PA.
yeah, this is very, pretty close to New Jersey. Delaware River. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been just wondering why we're not finding punctipes and Placidus in New Jersey, despite having plenty of white pine. Maybe it's too hot for them. They don't like it.
Yeah, I think the same thing about luteus because, I spent 2 years calling like all the Suillus salmicolor that I ever found luteus because I didn't know any better. And then, learned that I don't think I've ever seen luteus.
No, you can't because it's a European species that you've got to have it here with transplanted trees. It's not native to North America. So, I'm still trying to figure out what the deal is with my Suillus luteus. I'm going to take another look at that tree because there are 3 of them. I think 2 of them are definitely white pines. The third one I wasn't sure, but I checked the needles. I thought there were 5 in a bundle, so I thought all of them were white pine. So maybe I'm wrong about one of the trees. But yeah, everything we have here is planted, as far as conifers are concerned. So we have European basswood, Tilia cordata, and I found the European Cortinarius and the Destroying Angel. Sorry, it's not the Destroying Angel. What is it? The Death Cap. Growing with it.
Phalloides proper.
Phalloides proper. And Cortinarius, one of the phlegmasiums, if I get the name of it, has a long name. And something else that was also growing, another European species. So yeah, we have some strange things here growing because of these, planted trees that are not native, mostly.
All right. Well, that's all I got. So I'm going to call it a night. Lila, thanks for starting us off.
Thanks for hosting, Jason and Lila.
Yeah, Hunter, thanks for the presentation.
My pleasure. What's going on next week? Anything?